And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Charles with TaxBandits and Tax990, and we're excited to have you join us for this webinar. Now, a little context on why we're all here. Tax990 and TaxBandits are compliance platforms built specifically to make tax filing easier for nonprofits, businesses, and tax professionals. And we're always looking for ways to bring more value to our filers. And one of the ways we do that is through strategic partnerships. And that's why we're thrilled to partner with our friends at Protection Plus, who have joined us today on this webinar. Protection Plus specializes in audit protection, and we think this is a natural fit for the clients that we serve. To walk through exactly what Protection Plus offers and how it works, I'd like to introduce Daniel, our friend at Tax Protection Plus, who is joining us virtually today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to address them at the end of the process. And without further ado, we'll bring Daniel up here. Daniel, how's it going?
What's going on, everybody? Man, it's great to be here.
And I should have addressed that this is a special St. Patrick's Day webinar that we have here today.
I know, and I was going to make sure I made a note of it. I do have my green on here.
Yeah, good.
And actually, I have green socks on. I'm not that flexible. I can't lift my leg up. Big St. Patty's Day guy. I was telling somebody earlier, my background with school teaching kind of brought me into all the holidays, so I have outfits for everything. So I'm all for the St. Patty's Day webinar. I'm happy to be here.
So on that note, you don't want to rely on luck if you need tax protection. You want to have the right protection in your corner. And for some golden advice on how to keep some green in your pocket, we've got Daniel here to help us out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take it away. And as you said, Charles, truly a friendship. I mean, it's a great partnership, and it's been awesome to work kind of behind the scenes to get this thing launched and get it going. But I think we've all become friends over the way. So it's really cool now to kind of see it full circle as far as getting to know and understand the Tax990 and TaxBandits team, and then now kind of bring it to fruition to the customers. So I'm super excited to be here. There's nothing more than I love than Protection Plus. Maybe chicken tenders. Those are pretty good. But I'm really excited to talk to you today about how Protection Plus can help out, the firm, help out the staff, even help out your clients, the taxpayers. So I think there's a lot of good stuff that we're going to go over today. And so without further ado, I will hop into some.
Can you do it in an Irish accent, Daniel? That's what everybody wants to know.
I'd love to say yes, but I'm so not an accent guy. I wish I had that in my arsenal. There's so many things I wish I could do, but Irish accents or accents in general. I can give you a great country accent. I got that.
That one comes natural. All right.
So
sorry for the distraction. Please go ahead.
No, you're fine. Are you seeing the slides or no? There we go. Perfect.
Pulling them up now. Here we go.
Fantastic. So, again, my name is Daniel Brinegar. I always say Brinegar. It's kind of like vinegar. You also spell it very similar if you're ever wondering how to say that. I do lead the partnerships team over here at Protection Plus. So essentially what that means is I have one of the best jobs in the world. I get to meet people like Charles and the TaxBandits, Tax990 team, spend a lot of time with them in the background, making sure that we have everything covered from end to end, right? From the very beginning of who's our customer, what do they like, versus how does Protection Plus serve them, all the way through from their inside the firm to their clients and so on and so forth. So real quick housekeeping. We'll go over a couple things real quick. Please, I love questions. I absolutely love questions. Again, I was a high school teacher, not a college professor. So I do much better when we're going back and forth, interacting, making sure we're covering what you guys want to hear rather than me just giving a 20 or 30 minute soliloquy. So although I can do that, I want to make sure that I'm covering what you guys want to hear today. So because at the end of the day, it's about making sure that you have all the knowledge and information and you're familiar with all the resources and the value that Protection Plus can bring. So if there's anything I'm not covering as we're going through the presentation today, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll make sure we get to them either at the end of the webinar or we'll make sure we reach out to you in the next couple hours or days to get that stuff answered for you. So I'm going to touch on a couple of different things. I'm going to give you a real quick background on who Protection Plus is. You may be familiar with us, you may not, depending on sort of your tenure inside the tax and accounting industry. We've been around for a number of different years. Again, I'll go over all of this different stuff, but you may have heard of us just in maybe different capacities than you're hearing about us right now. We'll talk about what we do at Protection Plus. Again, like what is the core service? Who is this guy with the mustache on St. Patrick's Day talking to me? Like what is it really about? So we'll get into all that, I promise. I'll do a quick case study. I'll just kind of read you a quick little story to make sure you have some sort of real world understanding. I think it's always very helpful to see, okay, well, it all sounds great, but how does this really apply? What are some situations and scenarios that Protection Plus has been through that could serve me and my clients? How can I, put myself in their shoes to see what are the successes and wins, the efficiencies that Protection Plus can bring? We'll plan for the future a little bit. I'd ask you to, as we're going through the presentation today, to think about how Protection Plus can be utilized inside your firm. How can you convey it to your clients? How can you talk to them about the values, the benefits? What are things that you see right off the bat that we can improve our processes with? We always love customer feedback. So always be thinking of that sort of stuff for us. And then again, we'll make sure we address any questions here at the end. So sit down, hold on tight, give me about 15, 20 minutes of some good attention. And after that, we'll settle up and we'll let you run off for your St. Patty's Day. So quickly about Protection Plus, we've been in the tax and accounting industry for over 20 years now. It actually started with a couple different owners, and it was a product that people sold sort of over the table. So I'm sure you guys know as a professionals, that conversation that you have with clients as you're coming to the end of a tax return saying, hey, would you like this sort of add-on? Would you like this maybe benefit or whatever it may be? I'm sure you've had those sort of conversations. Well, our new owners bought it about 11 or 12 years ago, and they came from two really different segments. One, both in the financial institution world, but one in the tax software world, similar to what we're in today. And then one came from more of the banking industry on how to deliver certain products like Protection Plus. From a legal standpoint, you want to be compliant. The last thing any of us ever want to do is be wearing orange. We're in green today, right? So again, there's a lot of nuances to our product and our service that we provide that just takes a lot of years of experience. And as we got the company 12 years ago, those two folks, they really put their efficiencies from what they had learned in other various parts of the world and industries into something that could be really operational, super efficient, and really be a true value and resource for tax firms out there. We saw pain points, and then we're like, well, with our expertise, we could deliver a really, really good solution here. And so over the last, 10, 15 years or so, the business has absolutely grown. Again, you may have seen us out and about in the tax and accounting industry. Just to give you a real quick scope of sort of what we're working with on our side, there's over 10 million taxpayers that have access to our service. So you'll see it in a number of different ways, again, across the industry. You might hear it as tax protection, Protection Plus tax protection. You might hear it as audit defense. So again, those are some probably common terms that you've heard over the years on how to refer to a service similar to Protection Plus. Tax resolution is another way. Again, I'll say all three of those, all very synonymous. They mean the same thing, so don't think too much of it. But again, 10 million taxpayers have access to our service, and over 50,000 tax professionals are what we're partnered with. So you may have seen us in a number of different capacities across the industry. We operate in a number of different facets from, the tax protection. We have an insurance arm, we have a cyber arm. We do a lot of different things, but again, specifically for the tax industry. And so hopefully that can give you a little bit of background on just the size and scope of what we've dealt with and kind of where we're at today. As we launch the partnership, again, that I'm so excited to be a part of, I think it's really cool to talk about Protection Plus and our three stools that we kind of stand on really briefly, because as we get more involved with each other, we're going to be interacting, right? You guys as firms are going to be calling into Protection Plus, and these are the sort of these three principles right here will be operate our day-to-day on. We have a mantra that we can all recite back and forth, but again, carrying relationships, ownership of our work and integrity in our communication and practices is something that we stand on. And I hope that will be conveyed to you as you continue to work with us over the coming years. We all really care about our clients and our customers, and we understand that when we're working in the capacity that we work in, that we're a representation of you as the firm. And so I think that's a big part to hit on. We totally understand, and we really take pride in the fact that we are representing you when we're working with your staff or your clients as well. We own our work. Nobody's perfect, right? And we make sure that we give it our all and we give it our best. And we try to take that off of your plate. You'll see as we get into what Protection Plus really is, that our goal is to make you more efficient and let you live the life that you want to live. And there are certain things in your workflow and your everyday operations that maybe limit some of those, right? You may not always get into that 100%. You're sitting at 70 to 80 of, maximum efficiency inside the firm. And our goal is to get you closer to that 100% as we could. And lastly, again, our integrity, communications, and practices. We do have to deliver bad news sometimes, and that just sucks. But the way in which we do it, we want to get you in the right direction. Our goal when you talk to Protection Plus is to make you feel a lot better and have a resolution and a solution and a path forward when you get done working with us. So we'll move into what Protection Plus is. And I think you guys will absolutely love, again, the value. Just the $1 million in tax protection itself almost sounds angelic. I want to have some bells or whistles or like an orchestra behind me when I talk about our $1 million of tax protection. So essentially what it is, and we'll get into all the nitty gritty details, but essentially what it is we will spend at Protection Plus up to $1 million on any letter, notice, or audit that your clients receive regarding one of these tax forms that you're filing with TaxBandits or Tax990. So again, we're going to hop into the details of how all that works, but to give you a quick little feeler, $1 million in tax protection is what now you're getting with your software, which is fantastic. So anything I'm going to talk about today is going to be specific to these forms. So Tax990, the form 990, 990EZ, 990PF, and 990N. And then for our TaxBandits customers, 940, 941, 943, and 944. So just remember, as we're going through and we're talking about what Protection Plus is, what are we actually protecting? These are the forms as we're going through things today that I want you to keep in the back of your head of, how can I find value in this? What is the use case for me? Maybe you're thinking of some situations already where you've received letters and notices and the IRS has come calling, and you're like, wow, this would have been fantastic, 2 or 3, 5 years ago or whatever. So again, we're here now, super excited to be able to introduce this to you. But yeah, as we're rolling through today, just keep these in mind. These are the forms that we're talking about. So $1 million in tax protection. And it is as simple and as easy as it sounds right there as you can read it, right? From the first contact to resolution, Protection Plus provides up to $1 million in services to handle any notice, inquiry, or audit related to a taxpayer's return. So what that means, in a sense, is think about when your client gets a letter or notice and they come running to you because maybe you did their tax return and they say, hey, I got this letter or notice. What do I do now? Well, think about all the steps that you have to take to get a resolution for that client. That's essentially what you have in Protection Plus now. And that's the simplest way to say it. But I think about things like, oh my gosh, I owe $500. What am I going to do? Well, when that client comes to you, you probably weren't sitting there when you were making out your to-do list for the day that this client was going to bring you this issue. Well, you know that maybe you're not making a lot of money on that. It's low value work to you. It's kind of like a fly buzzing in your ear. It's not complicated work, but it's still something that you have to do to be able to serve your client. Well, Protection Plus can really be an assistant and a leader in driving that workload for you. So think about the people inside your firm. Maybe they're having to deal with these issues. Maybe it's not you as the leader inside the firm, but maybe you have some staff under you. And this is just taking up time in their day, right? It's inefficient. It comes out of nowhere. And you have to, again, pause, make sure you put the towel on your shoulder so your client can cry. because it's an emotional event for them oftentimes, because it's just scary when you get a letter from the IRS or the state. So one thing to think about is, how can I reallocate maybe some of my staff and their time, instead of having to do some of this low value work? How can I put them into things that are to make me more money, now that I know that I have a team like Protection Plus that'll service these letters, notices, and audits. So one thing that's really cool, that I love to stress, is the audits sound great, right? It's like, audits, they're scary. Everyone knows about that. Your common taxpayer, if you just grab Jimmy Joe off the street, he's going to know that the word audit is not a fun word, not a fun process. But you guys as firms know that maybe these large, cumbersome audits aren't what's really taking up all your time. Maybe you have one or two of those every few years, really not a lot. But if you look all the way to the left of this graph, down to your CP notices, right? A CP 2000 might be something that we're all really familiar with. That again, with the IRS, you are proven, or you're guilty, right? You're guilty until you're proven innocent, which is a great way to look at it. And so whether you did something wrong on that tax return, whether your client didn't give you enough information, no matter what it is, somebody has to take time out of their day and respond to that. And what I also want to make sure I note is the letter, notice, and audit handling, the responses that we'll do, it's not just applicable to your federal returns, but it's applicable to the state as well. And anything that can be e-filed is eligible to be protected by Protection Plus. So I believe that's the current year, and 2 previous years is what can be e-filed. So say somebody comes in to your firm today and say, I haven't filed my returns for the last 3 years. Well, when you go file those, all of those will now include Protection Plus. And if they have any issues come up down the road, then Protection Plus can service those. You might ask, well, Daniel, this sounds great, but how do you have the team? How do you have the capacity, the knowledge to be able to do this? Well, good for you to know. We have over 100 enrolled agents, CPAs, and tax attorneys on our staff. So the $1 million in tax protection, where does that come from? As far as how are we valuing that $1 million? What is that going to? Are you paying out $1 million? You know, what does that really mean? So no, we're not just paying tax debts. That's not at all what Protection Plus does. If your client brings you a letter notice that says, hey, I owe $10,000, what Protection Plus is going to do is look at that just like you would. And they're going to put an assessment together and essentially say, this is why you got this letter or notice, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And sometimes that can mean, hey, maybe the IRS actually owes you money. Maybe you're actually deserving of a refund once we get all the documents and put them clean together. So again, these are the sort of things that Protection Plus can do. As far as the letters, notices, the audits, and think about how this might apply to your world and inside your firm to be able to make things more efficient, right? How can you talk to your customers? Maybe you're trying to grow your client base. How can you talk to them about, hey, when you come do your tax returns here with me, look at what I give you, right? You're not having to pay extra for this. This is something that's just included in my services route. You know, what a great marketing pitch that is as well. So quickly, I want to go over what the case process or tax resolution process sort of looks like from a high level. I'll go ahead and kind of put a disclaimer in there that Protection Plus loves to be a good partner. That's one of our main goals, is to just be a good person to work with and enjoyable, and not make you feel like, oh, this is just another company or situation that we're having to deal with. We want to have that sort of personal touch, build a relationship with you. And so as I'm going through this, think about these 6 steps as a general overview, but we're going to work essentially to make sure we're doing things in the most efficient and organized manner for you inside the firm. So if there are things about this that don't fit your workflow, or if you say, that sounds terrible, that would never work for me, don't fret. It's not cookie cutter. We don't just do it all one way. We have a long list of experience, a long history of it. And so I think we've designed our processes to be efficient for the majority. But again, everybody always has something that they may want to tweak, and that's okay. I want you to know that that's totally okay. Our goal is to be a good partner. We don't want anything to feel transactional. We want this to feel like we're helping you. We're making you more efficient. Again, whatever those dreams and goals that we talked about earlier are, how is Protection Plus helping that out? Even if it's a 0.5% that we can do, that's our goal to do that. So with our process, again, a 6-step process from a high level. The first thing that we're going to need to open up the case to really get things going is that the notice that they receive. So the notice that they receive and then the tax return that it's tied to. They were going to be the first 2 questions and documents that Protection Plus is going to need. So if you call in today, if you email Protection Plus today to open up a case, the first 2 things they're going to request from you are the letter or notice that was received and the tax return that is the original tax return that's in question. So once you've opened up that case, we're on to step number 2. Our case team is going to reach out to you and have what we call a discovery call. And in this call, we're going to start putting together this professional case assessment, the PCA. And so what that does is put in very simple layman's terms, simple Daniel Brinegar can understand 5th grader taxpayer terms of, here's exactly why you got the letter, Daniel, and here's exactly what Protection Plus is going to do with that. Inside of that professional case assessment is going to be information such as maybe we need a 2848, a power of attorney. Maybe we need a 8821 so we can pull some transcripts. Maybe there's a tax identity theft issue that we can assist with, and the ID me instructions might already be put in there. Again, it's going to be a very nice, simple 3-4 page pamphlet of saying, here's exactly why you got the letter, and no worries, here's what we're going to do to fix it. Now we've got to move into that document gathering phase on how do we fix it. What are the resources that we need? Again, the 2848, 8821, that would be in that phase of this process. Once we get all the documents we need, and that can either come from the tax professional or the taxpayer, we don't care. As long as we get the documents that we need, we're going to fight the case. But I do like to make sure that I make the note that the way in which we work with your clients is completely up to you. Maybe you have some clients that are extremely high value. They want you as the leader in the firm, taking control of the case and doing all the legwork and being up front. You can do that with certain clients. Maybe you have some clients, now I'm sure no one on this call has that, these sorts of clients, the ones that maybe we don't want to work with. Maybe they're like the 3rd cousin to our ex-girlfriend's brother-in-law or something like that, and you're just doing it because you're nice and you've always done it. Again, we can do it a number of different ways, whether it's working directly with your clients and the taxpayers, or if it's working behind the scenes in the firm, and then we're just giving you all the nuggets and saying, here, take this and run with it, take this and run with it. But again, we're doing all the heavy lifting on the back end. Whatever's easiest for you inside the firm is our goal of what we want to do. Once we get all those documents, we're going to put a really nice portfolio together. Again, we've been doing this for a very long time. We know exactly how the IRS likes it laid out. We do, again, write it in those 2nd to 5th grade reading level terms. So anyone that sees it on the other side of the government can understand it, we hope. And again, the way our team puts that stuff together is just absolutely fantastic. I'll never forget the first time I looked at one of our portfolios for clients, and I was just blown away really at the organization, the level of detail, the tracking that they do on it, the ability to keep all those documents organized and centralized and present it in a way that's very digestible no matter what ecosystem you put it in. So our team does a fantastic job on putting those portfolios together. So once we submit that portfolio, again, we've got all the documents, we've got everything written out. And then at that point, as you know, we just submit it with the IRS. And then it becomes a waiting game a lot of times, right? We might get a quick response, and then again, it can be months. And that's another value I think that Protection Plus brings is now you have somebody that's kind of watchdogging all of this stuff for you. So instead of you having your client coming to you 3 or 4 months later and saying, hey, did you ever hear anything on that? And you kind of have no idea what's going on. You're like, oh, I need to go check on that. That's right. Now you have a team that every 7 days we're making sure we touch base with you, right? Once we submitted that portfolio, once whether there's interaction or not with the IRS, whether we're hearing a response or not, we're going to let you know, hey, we've submitted it. We haven't heard anything in 2 months. Hey, we submitted it. We heard something yesterday. Hey, again, we're keeping you up to date on that stuff so you can be as abreast with the information to be able to convey to your clients as well. And again, it's stuff that you know that you have to really take care of and handhold for your client. But at the end of the day, you also know that maybe it's not making you a lot of money inside the firm. Maybe it's something that just throws little wrenches in your day. And now it's really cool for Protection Plus to kind of be that solution for you. So real quickly, I want to go over, I just want to touch on a real quick case study. I think these are always great to kind of see real world examples on Protection Plus and how we can help. So let me start by setting the stage and walking through what the client was up against. So in this case, the IRS conducted an audit covering 2 tax years, 2021 and 2022, and identified several areas that raised concern. The primary issues centered around large deductions, which naturally those tend to draw more scrutiny, right? Specifically, the IRS questioned over $600,000 in non-cash charitable contributions, along with almost $600,000 in depreciation deductions. So anytime the IRS sees numbers of that size, it's going to increase the likelihood of a return getting flagged. And you're going to probably need some very strong supporting documentation, right? So in addition to that, there were key gaps, most notably in the substantiated mortgage interest and cost basis information. And the cost basis is especially important because it directly impacts how the capital gains are calculated. And without it, the IRS might assume a higher taxable gain than what is actually accurate. So when you combine the large deductions with an incomplete documentation, it creates this situation, right, where the IRS doesn't have enough confidence in the filings that you're putting through. And that's exactly what happened right here. So as a result, the client, they were hit with significant tax liabilities, over $163,000 in 2021, as you can see, and $159,000 plus for 2022. So pretty financially and emotional burden, I would say, when that comes out to, I think, what is that, over $320,000 just about. So this is where Protection Plus stepped in and really helped change the trajectory of the case, though. This is where it gets really neat. They immediately began working with the IRS, the Protection Plus team. They started working with the IRS and the client's previous tax preparers to fully understand what had been filed, what was missing, and where the gaps were. One of the most impactful actions they took was reconstructing this client's cost basis. So by doing that, they eliminated $99,000 in capital gains that the IRS had initially assumed were taxable, and that alone made a huge difference. They also uncovered and verified $40,000 in mortgage interest that had not been properly reported, and this ensured that the client was able to take advantage of deductions that they were legitimately entitled to. Beyond that, they addressed more technical areas such as classifying the amortization of rental loan points, making sure everything aligned correctly with the IRS guidelines. But just as important as the numbers was the process. So Protection Plus, what they did, they organized things, and they delivered a clean, thorough, well-supported documentation to the IRS. And that level of clarity when you're dealing with the IRS or the state, that level of clarity and that professionalism is critical in a lot of these situations. So again, to have a team like Protection Plus is invaluable. So what started as a fragmented and sort of high-risk scenario transformed into a very structured, well-supported case that the IRS could clearly evaluate at that point. I think I went 2 slides too fast. Here we go. So right here, we can look at the results. These results speak for themselves. The 21 tax year, the liability was reduced from over $163,000 to approximately just over $31,000. And then 22, even better results, it dropped even more dramatically, almost $160,000 to just $405. So look at these sort of results, and I think that's something that we can take away, right? When you take a step back, it really highlights the importance of proper documentation, the value of having a team like Protection Plus and have those experts who know how to navigate these complex sort of tax situations. I think it's always great to understand that Protection Plus, we see so many of these, and it's our daily job, right? This is what we sort of live for. And so you guys, as inside the firms, may only see a couple of these a time throughout the year. Maybe you have to go back and relearn how to do some of this stuff all the time, and it involves tax research. Again, that's where Protection Plus can be very, very helpful, is that you kind of have that knowledge base and all those resources at the ready for you. So I wanted to make sure I close it off with that case study. I think it would be helpful. But hopefully that was some sort of a deep dive on Protection Plus, and you have a good understanding of the value and the $1 million in tax protection and what we can do to help service your firms and help your taxpayers out this year. So with that, I'll put it on the Q&A, and I'll be quiet and see what rolls in here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. It's been a helpful overview. Thank you for that. I'd like you said, feel free to chime in with questions, and we'll address those in the webinar here. I would just like to point out, it's not just for tax professionals. If you're joining this, you're a TaxBandits client or you're a 990 client, and you're not a tax professional specifically, this is something that's included in the series. If you're using Tax990, it's included in the 990 series, including the 990N, the 990EZ, 990PF, the 990T, and of course the full form 990. That's included for those forms filed in 2026. And if you're a TaxBandits client, this is included for all 940s and 941s. So yeah, please, chime in if you've got questions here. We can address those.
What if I filed in January? Are my forms still covered? You got it. I believe anything filed after January 1st of this year is covered.
Yep, for the particular form types that are covered. Or I'm not sure if you're a TaxBandits or a Tax990 user, but for Tax990, it's the 990 series, the 990, including N, EZ, PF, and T. And for TaxBandits, it's 940 and 941. So we got another one. No. All right. Great. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to say, if you didn't get a chance to ask your question, you're always welcome to reach out to us directly through Tax990 or TaxBandits. We do have more webinars coming up, so please keep an eye out for those on tax990.com or taxbandits.com. Also, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, please make sure you're following us on LinkedIn for TaxBandits and Tax990. Just want to say thanks again to Daniel and the whole team at Protection Plus. Appreciate all of you for joining us today on this special St. Patrick's Day webinar that we've had. We appreciate you joining us here. We really do appreciate you being part of this community. And any other questions, feel free to chime in. Any other final notes there, Daniel?
Well, I'm just extremely happy that we finally get to bring this out to the customer base. I think that's the coolest part. Again, the friendships that we've developed on the back end. Now I'm ready to kind of put those out in the front and let the customers see the value of Protection Plus. Let us help you out. We want to help you out. Please utilize us. Let us help you in any way we can. So thanks for having me today. It was really fun to be able to get on here. All right.
Sounds good. What's it? Oh, we got a question there. Is this webinar for nonprofit organizations? Yeah. It's like I said, it's valid for anybody who's using Tax990 or for anyone who's using TaxBandits. So this is a joint webinar put on by Span Enterprises and Protection Plus, specifically revolving around our tax products, TaxBandits and Tax990. So the tax protection Daniel's describing is something that's included in all 990 filings through Tax990, and it's included in all 940 and 941 forms through TaxBandits for the year 2026. Sorry. Are you covering all states? All right. How would you address that one, Daniel? So that's specifically referring to tax coverage or IRS coverage?
Yeah. 3 letters, YES. Yes.
All right. Very good. All right. Is there anything in particular I have to do to get this coverage? Okay. So that is, like I said, it's covered for specific form types that were filed this particular year. So that coverage is going to be included for Tax990 users who have filed the 990 series in 2026, and for TaxBandits clients, it is included in the filing of Form 940 and 941 for 2026. All right. Great. And Daniel, you want to talk about the claim process? Say you get a letter in the future. Just a quick note on the ease of that. When we're building in an option into the program so that you can initiate a claim from the application. But in the meantime, we can just give you a phone number, and your team will be able to take care of it.
Yep, absolutely. So a couple different ways. If you have to open up a case, you can go to taxprotectionplus.com and reach out to us through that channel. You can either hit our phone number or shoot us an email. That email will be cases, CASES, at taxprotectionplus.com. Also, you can go through the TaxBandits or Tax990 ecosystem, and they're familiar how to refer us and get you in the right hands of Protection Plus. And I believe there should be some resources coming out that should be available to you on the website to be able to open up a case that way in the coming weeks. So be on the lookout for that.
Great. Awesome. All right. Any other questions out there? No? All right. Well, again, feel free to check us out on taxbandits.com, tax990.com. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got active YouTube channels that have lots of content regarding these particular products, as well as giving us a follow on LinkedIn for TaxBandits and Tax990. And I'm sure Daniel would appreciate that you do the same for Protection Plus.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.